Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully everyone had a safe and fun New Year's Eve and first day of the new year. We are back with a few more videos for you as we get ready to launch the new catalog in just about 48 hours. So new product is always fun and exciting and can be a way to freshen up what you already have in your crafting stash. So what we'll be looking at today is the Enduring Beauty Bundle. And just real quick, for those of you that are new, that have stumbled onto my page or been referred to by a friend, the product that we're referring to is in this mini catalog right here. And then we also have our celebration beginning at the same time that this catalog launches, where you'll receive free products from this catalog based on qualifying orders. All of the products in these catalogs are in my online store, but having a paper catalog is really, really handy, and you'll see why when we stroll through it together the morning of January 4th. So the product that I mentioned is Enduring Beauty, and I have a table full of fun stuff to show you some really fun variations with this. But this is a three-part bundle. Most of our bundles are 2 pieces, and with the bundles, you always have the opportunity to buy it all with one easy ordering code, saving 10%, or all of the items are always available individually. And in this case, you can get this bundle, you can get all 3 of these, or you can get all of these elements individually. It's going to be up to you. We have this stamp here, big, large, beautiful floral stamp, and some amazing greetings with some beautiful mixed fonts. I love this fonts. They're a little bolder, so they really do pop on your card, so I love these greetings. You have some dies. You have a big die to cut out the large flowers. This frame will cut all of the greetings but the largest ones. You'll cut all of those. And then you just have some fun leaves so that you can add a little bit more 3-dimension to your projects. So in addition to the stamps and the dies, you have these stencils, and there are 5 stencils. The stencils are numbered, okay? They're kind of raised and they're tone on tone. So I went ahead and just numbered mine in the corner. They're also notched. They have a notch up here so that you can always line them up nice and easily. But you're going to have your big background, and you're gonna see us use these in a minute. You'll have your outline. You put your leaves on next. Hold on a minute. Then you have your outline for your flowers, your outline for your leaves, and then the centers for your flowers. So let's get to looking at a few samples to show you some of the options that we're going to be talking about. So for this one here, we went ahead and stamped the image in Memento ink. And then what I did, and you'll see us, we're gonna do some of these, I laid the stencil down over the stamped image and added some depth to the leaves, okay? So you can see the tone on tone leaves. That was done with stenciling, the same thing here, tone on tone, okay? And then we added the third one just to add a little depth to the centers. So we stamped it first in Memento black and then used the stencils over top. So I'm gonna hold these 2 side by side. Can you see that little bit of darkness? Okay. After doing this step, I went back in with the Stampin' Blends and added just a little bit more where the natural shading lines were created by the artist who created these dies, and then darkened up these flowers. So this step, and then as an added step, I took a Stampin' Blend to it, okay? Then, look at this. Here at the very, instead of using Stampin' Blends or anything else, with the final 2 layers, I used Versamark, okay, for the veins and for the centers. We embossed it in gold just to bring a little extra up to it. Then, look at this really fun, beautiful watercolor look. In this case, I used the water painters to create this beautiful look. And then just as a bonus tip for you, you know, I always like to kind of throw in extra tips for you. Take a look at this ribbon. This ribbon is actually this ribbon right here. So we drug it through the gorgeous great pad. I showed you how to do that with an ink block in one of the previous videos. And then I took a heat tool to it, and that's what kind of sort of melted it and scrunched it up. But isn't this a fun, beautiful card with this gorgeous watercolor look? And I'm kind of partial to purple anyway. So let me show you a few more things, and you kind of saw it here as well. And you saw this one in my Happy New Year's to you. Look how gorgeous this is right on the designer paper. I found that I really love taking these masks right to the designer paper. It's one less layer. You kind of automatically have a layer there. In this case, we have Petal Pink, we have Calypso Coral, we have Smoky Slate, and then Basic Gray. And the other thing that's kind of fun about this is that the color of the designer paper somewhat alters the colors of your pads. So in this case, you can see the Petal Pink looks just a little darker, but how fun is that? Isn't that beautiful, going right to designer paper? Then playing around with this concept of Versamark, okay? So we look at this, look at the beautiful blues again, and just a hint of the pattern underneath of that. But look at this, if I turn it side to side, can you see the shine? I used Versamark for the layers, and then just put clear embossing powder on it. So again, just for another look. Same thing on this one right here, just showing you again another one on designer paper. And this one again is using the Smoky Slate, or not the Smoky Slate, the Gray Granite. And then we have Lost Lagoon. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Okay, so let's play a little bit and let's bring these to life. Let's see how these were actually created. Let's have some fun playing around. So again, these are notched. They are numbered up in this little corner. I went ahead and numbered them down here in the corner. And you're going to just work with them right in order, and you're going to just have magic happen. So just for fun, I watched Shannon West do a fun card the other day with a fun color combination. So I was inspired to pull some fun colors as well myself, just to see what comes out of it. And she did work with the Blackberry Bliss and all of that. So we're going to use Bubble Bath, Berry Burst, Blackberry, Coastal Cabana, and Lost Lagoon as our color combination. And you can do a couple of different things to help you line these up if you're working on the new glass mats that debut as a free gift when you join my team on beginning January 4th, or if you work on grid paper or any other paper. You can just lay this down, and then you can use your washi tape to hold that in line, even just a little bit on the corner of your cardstock if you're worried about it moving. And again, you can also use a little bit of your washi tape. Something else that you can do if you want, especially on the glass mat, is that you can also kind of make a little mark for the corners if you're really worried about it, okay? What's nice is I'm using a Write-On Wipe-Off marker. I treated myself to some fun new ones in honor of this new glass mat, but you can also make little marks, but you're gonna have that little notch up here, okay? So let's start with Bubble Bath. You're gonna work lightest to darkest with these. And in this case, it is nice to have both small and large blends. The large blends are just gonna help you fill in this area really, really fast. And just tap off some of that initial ink. And this is a larger area, so I'm okay swirling it. I'll tell you why you may not wanna swirl on some of the more detailed ones in just a minute. But I can just keep going over it. And you're gonna notice that it kind of catches the edges and kind of darkens the edges just a little bit, and you could definitely do that. Or you can just keep going over it until it's as dark as you want it to be. So we've got our first piece here. So now let's take number 2. And I'm just gonna lay it down in its notched little spot that I created, and we'll put that here to help hold it in spot. And in this case, we're going to do Coastal Cabana. Now we've got something that's a little smaller. You could definitely use a larger blending brush still on these larger ones, okay? But as the pieces get smaller, having a smaller brush is kind of nice, because now you're going to really be able to get in there and not have the bristles floating on top of the stencil. So let's just keep going. So quiet. I feel like I need music or something. Or somebody sing. Trust me, you don't want me singing. That would not be a good thing. I'm gonna go over this a little more. And I'm just kind of pushing it down and putting the tip down. So if we pull that up, we have that one ready. Now we're going to go to number 3. Number 3 is the centers of the flowers. And if I hold this up, you can see that it's a little more detailed. And so what I found when it's more detailed, especially, let me pull the other one in so it'll make sense too while we're talking. Like here, you've got little pieces that can catch sometimes if you're swirling. So in that case, a lot of times I will switch to doing what I call pouncing, and you'll see what I'm talking about, or just simply pressing. So let me just make sure I have what color I have here for just a second. Let me get a scrap piece of paper. This one is a new one and I don't have it marked yet, so I think we're good. Okay, so let's just get some ink up in here real good. Take a little off, but in this case, I'm just gonna press it down. Now, you may be asking, why don't you just press an ink pad to it? Because the ink pad is still not gonna get all the way in the nooks and crannies. There is a raised edge. But the reason why I'm not, or you can rub real gently, but you wanna be really careful that you're not gonna snag any of the lips on the edges of any of the elements of the mask that's free floating. So to clean these, you can just simply take your chamois, you can run it under water, lots of different options for cleaning them, okay? And now we need our leaf topper. So that's number 4. And let's close that up. We're gonna go to our Lost Lagoon. And again, this one is special. You can see already, this is one of those reasons why, you know, you learn, because this one's already raised up just a little bit because I snagged it. That was my reminder that that's not how you do it. So let's put this down. There we go. And we're just gonna pounce off to the side. Gonna tap down in, just kind of use the tip of it. You're not gonna bend these permanently or hurt them by pressing just a little bit with them. It's just such a beautiful look. It's so much fun. So you have your leaves there. And then lastly, we can go ahead and we can add some centers to it. So let's grab our Blackberry Bliss. We're gonna move those out of the way so that we can do another project in a minute. And where's number 5 on the bottom, which would make sense. And then just to show you, like on this smaller piece here, I'm not even gonna take the time to tap it down. I can see it's where it's supposed to be and it's just a few small openings. And we're just gonna put a little bit of Blackberry Bliss here in the centers. Again, this is another one that has some little edges that are easy to catch, and we don't want to do that. So we're just gonna press this down. So you've got your centers on that. So let me pick that up and hold it up to the camera. So you've got these beautiful pinks. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, something that you could do if you wanted to, you could take the stamp and lay it over top. And let's do that right now just to show you. And let's just get this off the side here. So we're gonna add a dark outline to it now if we want. So you can keep it definitely like this, or at the end you can go ahead and add an outline over top. That's why this is photopolymer, so that you can easily look through it and line it up. Excuse me if my head gets into the camera view here for a second. Show you all of my grays. So you can add that dark outline then around it to make it pop even more, okay? So then we'll grab this little piece here for a second and we'll do it the opposite direction. You can start with the stamped image. And I'm gonna go off the side of the paper because I just want a little artsy. look to it. Okay, so I'm going to go off the paper just a little bit. You never have to use the whole image. And we're just going to do one part of it here for a second. We're not going to do all of it. We'll go back to the very first one that we used, number 1. And now I didn't notch this. So what you're going to need to do in this case is you're going to need to line it up, and it actually does line up really well even without the notches and all of that with the stamped images. You're just going to follow the little bumps on your flowers, and it lines up really nice and really easily for you. So in this case, let's just pull some crumb cake and just do a little different color combination. So you can take your colors to your flowers first. And you don't even have to do all the colors. You can just do like a simple little covering like that and leave it just as, you know, crumb cake and white. Or you could go ahead and start to add some of those other flowers and leaves if you want to do that. And I think, and again, you're just going to line it up. If you don't, you know, like if you're doing it this way, and it's just a matter of, where's that little guy? That's usually the one that I pick. I usually start with this little knob here, this little bud. And this little bud can either be a flower or it can be a leaf. That's totally up to you, which you want it to be. In this case, I'm not going to put ink on it, and we're going to let it stay a little bud for what we finish up with here. So let's just take a little bit of that off. And for those of you who aren't comfortable shading or working with blends with your projects and things like that, this is a great look. And this is a really fun bundle. I hope that this is like a trend. I hope we see more similar to this from Stampin' Up, because it really is beautiful. So yes, you have the ability to get a perfect alignment with the notches, but you can also stamp first and then kind of work and position it. So lastly, let me show you about watercoloring it. In that case, we're going to use the watercolor painters. They are sold as a set of 3, and there are 3 different tips. Okay, you're going to have your brush tip, which is great for the bigger, larger backgrounds, your pointy little tip, and then one that's a medium-sized tip. The barrel is simply filled with water, and we're going to use our ink pads to pick up our colors. So let's leave that one off because that's what we're going to start with. So, and actually, yeah, we'll come back to that one. We'll give you that tip at the end. So, do I have another piece of white here? Okay, well, we're going to work on this also just to show you about working with other direct to cardstock. It doesn't have to be direct to white. Work on your projects direct to cardstock sometimes just for a different look. And let's get this. The other tip though is when you're working with something like a stencil and you're not sure of your finished size, I usually start with a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That gives me room to cut down, because the other thing, of course, that I can do is I have those dies and I can die cut the image out and then layer it up onto things. So starting with a little bit bigger sheet than I think my finished project's going to be really does help make a difference. So let's go to Berry Burst, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press on this. It doesn't hurt the glass. And I'm just transferring ink into this top surface. And we're going to put just a tad bit of water down inside of it. And now I'm just going to brush that color on. And it may bleed slightly. Don't make it too soupy. It still may bleed slightly underneath the mask. And that's okay, as long as it's not a lot. You know what I mean? You don't want it running off the paper. But that's part of that watercolor look, is bleeding a little bit under that mask. So you're just going to start first with one color. And what I like is the way that these are done, I don't have to wait for this to dry completely to move on to my second color. So in this case, I can go ahead and I can put my leaves on here. Of course, so we're going to put our leaves on. Moved my little number too fast there. And we're just going to clean our brush. I have a little chamois here. It looks really bad. It gets really stained, but trust me, when I run water over this until it's clear, it's clean, okay? But I'm just brushing the tip of my brush on that. That's what it was doing off screen for you guys. So let's just go ahead and add a little bit of this. And I'm just holding it down with my hand in this case. You can see it bleeding under just a little bit. I made the bud a flower this time. I made the bud a leaf this time. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's what you want that little bud to be. So it can be a leaf that's still opening. So we've just added color direct to that. Can you see that it has that kind of fun washed look? Then let's go back to our flowers and we're going to lay that down. And let's pick up a darker color. Oops, leave it open, Janet. And you don't have to worry about, you notice I'm not drying these out or cleaning these. Stampin' Up's pads are designed to store with the felt part down. It doesn't touch the lid, but it's stored upside down when you fold it back over because that keeps the ink closer to the surface and helps it last longer between re-inking them. So, and I'm just tapping this in this time. I could use a smaller brush and really get into it. If I need to get into some of these smaller little places, that's where the different sizes might come in handy. So you can see the different kind of watercoloring effect starting to take shape there. Where's my little bud? We'll lay that down. And I am going to switch for this one. And I had Lost Lagoon as our top cover for this one. And let's just get a different size painter out. When I worked this morning and yesterday, I found that working with the medium-sized brush, there it is, and the big flat ones seem to work the best. Make sure got my bud there. And in this case, I can almost use it like a marker, and you probably could. I would not use Stampin' Blends on this stencil. Stampin' Blends will stain this. The rest of this all just washes off. What's really fun about this stencil, what I really love, is it gives me a chance to play with layering color combinations. So having some fun. So as you guys start to order this and add it to your stamp collection, I can't wait to see what different color combinations you guys all come up with using this. I'm going to tap right onto here for a second and pick up a little bit of that for the stem. So you're just going to end up with this really cool watercolored look. You can definitely leave it just like that. And of course, then you could also stamp over it with the whole stamp. Now back to the Versamark and embossing for just a second. So all I did then was I used a Versamark pad, and I have a blending brush designated just for Versamark. I actually keep it all together with all of my embossing supplies. And any step of the way, instead of pouncing ink on, you could indeed pounce your Versamark on, okay? And then one last little idea for you is let's pull in some crumb cake, just working on tone again. I'm just going to put this down. Washi tape, painter's tape, any of that kind of tape that doesn't stick. Even some of the masking papers have an adhesive to them. They could be good for doing this. But let's go ahead and let's start with trying to keep the table clean. And this time I am going to just put this down and we'll go back to our little notched idea. And we'll put our little V there. But I do want to show you about ink spots. The big spots, the reason why I wouldn't pounce over this with a big ink pad is you're going to get so much ink everywhere over this. It's just crazy, and then it's hard to really push down into this. But our tiny little ink spots that are about 1 inch by 1 inch, Stampin' Up! Has a set of 8 of them, and then we have uninked ones that you can add ink to. And then these come in our kit collections, and you'll find them in Paper Pumpkin. These are great for pressing down, and it will give you a different look because of the top of the pad. But in this case, but you're also still going to have just a little bit of an outline around it. Can you see the little bit of crumb cake here? I'm going to lift this whole thing up and put this down. You can see that edge of crumb cake? It's because the bristles of a sponge, like the blending, gets in here. So you could also use a sponge dauber to really kind of press and give you that color. But if you wanted to use an ink, I would recommend the ink spots because they're not going to leave as much ink around your stencil as trying to do it with a full ink pad. So whether you use large and small blending pens, whether you use inks, or you use Versamark, you use a dauber or small ink spots, or you water paint them, you're going to find that there's lots and lots of fun with this stencil. It's not just a one-note wonder with blending pens. Of course, you're going to, again, have all kinds of ways of using them. And I'll bring our finished samples back in. I can't wait to finish that one off. It's so pretty. But look at the colors. So this one here is Petal Pink and Flirty Flamingo, Old Olive, and Mossy Meadow. This one here is your Lemon Lolly and your Daffodil Delight, Coastal Cabana, and Lost Lagoon. This one is Highland Heather, Fresh Freesia, Grape, so all three of the purples. And then we use Seafoam and Old Olive. Here we've got some of the pretty colors. I pulled this idea from the Nature's Sweetness Suite, which uses a lot of the pecan and the crumb and the pebbled path, and embossed the coordinating cardstock with our thoughtful moments. And then here you can see more of them. So lots and lots of fun, guys. Lots of possibilities. This is, like I said, a really great one. If you have a moment, take a look at all of the special offers that I posted. I have a lot of fun things planned for the first quarter of this month. In addition to those specials, I have launched a new Remarkable Rewards program for my customers that will be fully outlined and explained in a coming newsletter. Not the one today. The one today will have 10 PDFs for new product. If you're not on my mailing list, make sure that you get on my mailing list. It's free. It's open to everyone, everywhere, customers, demonstrators, anyone globally. And it will have 10 PDFs for you to download as we kick off the new year. So more stuff coming, samples posted tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to do a big review of the glass mat. I've been using it now since December 6th, and I want to go back over it because it is a $60 value that you could get for free. And so we're going to definitely want to talk about it, talk about the features and benefits, and we'll throw in a few samples just because, right? So have an amazing day, guys, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time.